Good morning. Happy Monday. Hello, friends. I am just checking everything to make sure everything's connected and ready to go for today's Marketing Monday. Happy Monday. My name is Jillian. I'm the VP of Marketing for the CEO Woman, and I am here to talk to you about marketing, but more specifically, to continue down the pathway of our conversation around the value of clarity in your messaging and consistency in your efforts. We don't want you to, at the same time, we don't want you to be doing more. More is not the answer to your sales problems or your marketing initiatives or even your business efforts. The chances are more is not the problem. It's about getting tactical. It's about being really methodical in what you choose because today isn't about posting hacks or algorithm things. I'm not going to teach you trends or how to find them and chase them because trend marketing and hack marketing, they're only true for a very small period of time. And it doesn't actually benefit you from the perspective of identifying your ideal client and then speaking to them on social. So when it comes to your marketing, we're going to discuss why more content is not the answer. It's about solving your problem with clarity and consistency. So if you've ever said, I'm posting, but nothing is happening, or this conversation, I'm posting and nothing's happening, or maybe even something on the lines of like, I'm posting all the time or on lots of platforms and nothing's happening. So you're doing all the work, but you're not reaping the return on investment. This conversation is for you. So if you feel like you're doing all the things and it's not returning an investment, hang in there with me for a little bit and let's talk about your marketing. So the real problem, as we kind of hint at in the title for today, is not more. More is not the thing that you need. Here's the pattern I see over and over again. Like inside the CEO woman community, like we have our accelerators and our private consulting and all kinds of like things that we offer. When marketing isn't working, the end stage is always to do the same. It's to do more. But more posts, more platforms, more reels, more emails does not mean more success. Um, in fact, it does usually mean that you're going to make a lot of content that doesn't create momentum for your brand, basically. So, momentum comes from repetition of clear messaging. And most people skip the first part, the clarity, and then wonder why consistency isn't paying off. But these two things kind of go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other because both will lead you into a dead end, basically, if you just have one or the other. And so consistency without clarity is just white noise. And that's kind of a tough pill to swallow sometimes because what if your marketing is white noise? What if people are not being, turned into buyers for you? What now? What are you going to do, right? Consistency without clarity is white noise. Clarity without consistency is potential with no follow through. So you need both in order to achieve what you're looking to achieve, and you need both in the right order. So let's talk a little bit about why clarity comes first. Because again, if you have consistency, but you are not clear on your messaging, you're still going to like spin your wheels in mud, so to speak. So we want to make sure that's not happening. So let's define what clarity is in real time, because this is where things get vague really, really fast. Clarity is not knowing your industry. It's not knowing your credentials. It's not knowing everything you could help with. That's not clarity. Clarity, that's Clarity has depth to it. Clarity is who you are talking to right now. It's knowing who you're talking to. It's knowing what problem they recognize as urgent. It's active listening. And it's clarity is knowing how you want them to move towards you. And inside the marketing accelerator that I'm doing, this is why we slow people down before we speed up. Because when a woman says, I feel like I'm talking, but no one's listening, what she really means is I'm not sure who I'm talking to anymore. Because clarity isn't a branding exercise, it's a decision for your brand. I'm going to say that one more time. Clarity is not a branding exercise, it is a decision for your brand. It's important that you prioritize it in everything you do because it will transform your business through and through. Now, there is a consistency myth that I want to talk about for a second because once you get clarity, then we go into consistency, and there's a myth that I want to discuss. Now, cons- let's talk about how to define consistency. So, consistency doesn't mean posting daily, being everywhere all the time all at once, and never missing a week. That's not what consistency is. It might feel like that's what consistency is because it might feel good. You might get those happy chemical dumps when you're achieving writing that frequently or that much content. But consistency actually doesn't mean that. Consistency means is more about having the same core message. It's the same problem language. It's having the same point of view when you're writing and reinforced over time. So at the CEO Woman, we don't reinvent messaging every week. We just don't. Marketing Monday exists for a reason. Business Wednesday exists for a reason. The summit is a single theme has a single theme for a reason because consistency builds trust that people learn because people learn what to expect from you through your consistency. And trust is not novelty, it's what converts. So we cannot underestimate the value of it. Now, if you're watching, if you're watching with me live, or if you're watching the replay, I would love to know how clarity and consistency have been either a detriment or a benefit to your business, depending on whether or not you have it or not. So let us know in the comments. I am curious. Now, I think it's important to acknowledge that you might feel like you have clarity and you might feel like you're being consistent, and that may not work. Like, Jill, that's totally against what you just said. I know. Hang in there with me because there's an uncomfortable truth here. When clarity is missing, no more content actually works against you. And because instead of reinforcing a message, you're basically introducing new angles every week and talking about different problems to different people and teaching without directing. And so your audience might think, oh, she's so smart, but I'm not sure what she actually does. Or worse, I'll come back later. And then later never comes. We've all been there. We see the shift dramatically when women simplify. And what that means is a balanced amount of content gets produced. Maybe it's fewer posts or clearer language or same message but different examples. That's when momentum starts. So when we're writing for the CEO Woman, we have core messages. I like to challenge you to try to identify 36 core messages in your brand. 36 is my magical number, and here's why. When it comes to creating your content, for your social media channels, a good rhythm to be in is between 2 and 3 content pieces per week. If you can do more, fantastic, but at the minimum, 2. So with a goal to hit 3 a week. If you are able to do three a week, that's 12 a month times three, that's 36 and a quarter. And if you can write 36 posts over the course of that quarter, where all roads lead to the same call to action, but the posts share different information, but in the same voice and tone with the same consistent call to action, you will start to see a higher engagement rate and a higher level of return on investment as people will click through your content and be more engaged. It's where the momentum starts. Now, here's the filter I want you using from now on when it comes to your CEO marketing stuff. So you got your CEO marketing hat on. Before you create content, I want you to ask, what's the one idea that reinforces? I'm sorry, what's the one idea this reinforces? Not teaches. I want to be very clear. It's not teaches, it's reinforces. The second content question you should ask yourself before creating content is what problem does this anchor to? If it doesn't connect to a real pain point, it's optional content. And then question three is what's the next step? Is it read, register, save, reply, share, decide, click here to learn more? What's the next step? Giving clear guidance. This is how we design like CEO level marketing is it's not what should I post today, but what do I want them to understand more clearly over time about me as a business? So three questions to be filtering through your content. What's the one idea this reinforces? What problem does this anchor to? And what's the next step? These are powerful questions for your content development. They will keep you from having that, I don't know what to do every day kind of energy. And if you can do those 36 evergreen messages, and I use that word evergreen, it's kind of a marketing term, but it basically means when something is true for an extended period of time. So, not like an event, which is seasonal, but like something that is true about your business, like who you serve, what problems you solve, ongoing programming, that kind of thing. That's all evergreen. Now, I want to call out something that I hear a lot from the women that I coach. And this is a very valid perspective. But the truth is it's really um, hard, I would say, for women to get clarity in their businesses because the deep desire to perform and that deep desire to get the A tends to be in those types of people, the women who tend to start businesses. And if you are always reaching for that, getting the A energy, it's just going to feel defeating. It's going to feel like resistance because you're like, well, I don't want to only do this one message. I don't want to go in just this one direction. What about all the rest of the things I do? But leadership marketing requires restraint. So clarity might feel limiting and consistency might feel boring. However, these are the things that allow your audience who only touches you as a brand several times in a month, if lucky for the repeat. So we have to have our leadership hat on in our marketing, and we have to say, this is what we're about, this is who we serve, and this is where we start. Inside our ecosystem, the women who grow the fastest aren't louder. They are clearer, clear for themselves, clear for their teams, and clear for their audiences. And they stay there long enough to be remembered. I think that we really underestimate the value of that consistency and clarity combination in life. Now, if more content is not the answer and clarity is deciding factor on whether or not your message lands, then consistency is the thing that decides what sticks. If your marketing feels exhausting and scattered, or like it feels like you reset it every month, I want you to pause before you start to write again. And I want you to refine your message, choose the problem, and repeat it with intention. It's the CEO, that's how the CEO brands are built, not by doing more, but by doing it on purpose, whatever it is. It's being intentional about everyday decisions for your marketing. And so when you're trying to outline, how do I know if I have clarity around my product offerings or my service offerings? If you are asking yourself if you have clarity, chances are you don't, even though you might be the expert in the room in the topic. If your clients are coming to you for information to get updates or to ask questions about working with you, that kind of thing, then you might have some clarity problems in your messaging. It's usually a pretty good indicator. The next step for someone working with you should be abundantly clear. And if it's not, and it's not repetitiously put it in your website or throughout your messaging on your social channels or wherever else you post, you're missing opportunity to invite people into your brand. We don't want that. We don't want you missing opportunity to invite people to your brand. Everything that you do in your marketing today, and I say this all the time, but I mean it because it's so true. Everything you do today is going to be like you're going to reap those benefits in 90 days. So if you start with that consistent 3 posts a week um, framework for your content, and then identifying 36 of your core messages, you will find that writing your content is so much easier because you're not rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. But what you're doing is you're consistently touching on the topics that you intentionally want to talk about or be known for in that season. That's a really big deal. So, no, more content is not the answer. It's clearer content. It's consistent to what you're capable of doing. So maybe 3 a week is too much. That's fine. Do 1 a week. Just show up. If that one day that you're going to do is a Wednesday, but you're going to do it all in, you're going to go live, you're going to have fun, you do it, but do it consistently. Do it weekly. Do it in a pattern where your audience can be able to expect it essentially. And I think the other thing too is we've talked a little bit in the month of January leading into February about the importance of your systems being like auditing things for your brand essentially. And if your systems do not allow you to actively, consistently show up on your channels digitally, then I want to recommend to you that you pick a time management system that works for your personality and your version of working. So not everybody works the same. Some people want everything digital, and some people want everything in writing on a piece of paper and then have it inputted into something, digital down the road. However you like to work, you want to lean into it, not against it. So finding systems that work in your favor. And the first start of that is being able to have a messaging document that empowers your messaging holistically, meaning it's defined. Voice and tone is there. You know exactly who you are, who you serve, what you serve to which specific client, and the frequency in which that service or product is purchased. When we start to get really deep into our marketing, we're able to make better, higher quality decisions in the long run. But it starts by making those decisions today in an effort to gain the return on investment tomorrow. So anything you're doing today, whatever you're thinking, like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed in this moment, or I'm not sure if I can handle the pressure, let me be clear. If you start pretending to be who you want to be today, in a year from now, you will be that person because you got to practice it. You got to practice becoming. You got to practice your marketing. You've got to practice your CEO energy. You have to practice. People don't just wake up and instantaneously are like, oh, I'm a leader. They need consistency and clarity to get to that place of success in their lives. And you can lead your business from a place of consistency and clarity. Is the key. Um, and it will be impactful for all your decision making. If you don't have your messaging mapped out in your brand, I want to encourage you to um, consider signing up for our next marketing accelerator. We are a little over halfway done with the first one, and it is going fantastic. The ladies are getting so clear around who they serve and what problem they solve. So they're able to show up as the guide and let their clients be the hero of their businesses. So if you struggle to have clarity, or if you're in a season where you're like, I need to rebrand my messaging, I need to find my voice and tone, I need to figure out what my writing style is, wherever you're at, if you're having any questions around your messaging or have been given feedback that your messaging isn't clear, I want you to come and do the accelerator with me because we're not just teaching, we are implementing. So by the end of each week, not only are you learning something new and getting empowered in knowledge, which is such a gift, but then you're actively implementing in real time during that weekly 90-minute call. And that implementation is going to give you the power that you need to make decisions in all the different spaces of your business. So I want to personally invite you out to come hang out with me in the next marketing accelerator. We have our sisterhood newsletter. If you haven't signed up for that, I highly recommend signing up for that, and you'll get notice of the link through there. And then I'll go in and put the link in the chat for you guys as well. So before we hop off, I want to just do a quick recap on this marketing clarity filter, if you will, because you deserve to have content that lands and sticks with your audience. So make sure you're doing you're asking your questions. What's the one idea that this post, whatever you're making, reinforces? What's the problem to anchor to that idea? And then what's the next step? So using this framework where you have the concept, the problem, and then the solution, essentially, using that framework to help map out how you talk about your products and services will really help make sure that you don't miss problem solution call to action. So maybe your post sounds something like, this is a salesy style post, but maybe your post is like, um, I guess went blank. Maybe your post is something like, we have, are you tired of feeling stuck and overwhelmed at every turning point in in your business? Our CEO Business School will help give you clarity that you need to make strategic decisions and move forward out of your place of stuckness. Click here to schedule discovery call to see if this program's right for you. So we've got the pain point, the problem solution, and then the call to action. So making sure that you stand consistently in your writing and you know what your next steps are going to be. Don't write a post that leads to nowhere unless the goal of the post is to be general information. So your posts that should have a call to action to them are the ones that you're inviting them into your company, And then those call to actions should be consistent so that you're able to measure the return on investment for your business. Most of the time in marketing, we like to say that all roads lead to the website because whatever that website link is, excuse me, there's most likely a place to purchase or schedule a call for them. Now, if you have other ways of doing it, like linking to a form, or maybe you're just trying to spend the quarter collecting newsletter emails, which you should be doing, putting effort behind that. Um, and however you bring your people into your brand, you still want to invite them. So just because they show up or they like your posts or engage with it doesn't mean that they feel that invitation or that pull to hit buy or discover or whatever the call to action is. So be certain to be mindful of where you're leading people in your call to action, that it's consistent and something that they can count on, and easily find again that it's not hidden from them in their ability to find out how to work with you. And then that friendly reminder that instead of trying to create more content, which will work against you because the algorithm doesn't want you to be spamming. We want to create smarter content, higher quality content. So if you can't do the exercise with the 36 evergreen messaging, go into ChatGPT, give it your website link, and say, hey, I need to come up with as many evergreen messages as possible from my website about my brand. Go and let it come up with a bunch of stuff. Read through it, choose what is true, what aligns, and what is accurate, and start there with your evergreen messages. Because once you have those evergreen messages outlined, you will not struggle to write content anymore. You'll just have to do it. And that part, the hardest part, I think, is the overthinking we do before we sit down and get the work done. So just remember that you're spending a couple hours once a quarter or maybe once a month writing content and designing content for your business. And it's not about doing more, it's about doing better quality. And that specifically falls into clearer language, same messaging, and different examples. So just be mindful of that when you're writing out your content for March, which is, if you're not writing it yet, you should be getting started on that as we are coming up to the middle of February. Anyway, so that's it for today. Just wanted to talk to you about why more content is not the answer to your marketing. It's clearer content, more consistent content, and combining clarity and consistency as the overall framework to your marketing in your business. So I will be here Wednesday. I'm excited to talk with you all again on Wednesday, where we kind of talk through some business stuff. And then Monday next week, we will not have Marketing Monday, but we will see you again the following Wednesday. So thanks for joining me. If you're watching the replay, let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts. All right. Bye, friends.